Hi, Slumber Party listeners. It's your host, Tim Murray, wanting to remind you to make sure you're subscribed to this channel so you can stay up to date on all of these interviews. Also, make sure you subscribe to iHeart Radio Broadway Network. I do all sorts of bonus episodes there that aren't available on YouTube. And make sure you're subscribed to my Patreon because you can get extra interviews with these guests, extra interviews with Jessica Bosk, Ben Fankhauser, Andrew Keenan Bolger, and so many more people. Enjoy today's interview. Thanks for watching. Hello, my queefy, beautiful little Slumber Party listeners. It's your host, Tim Murray, and you're listening and or watching the Slumber Party podcast, the podcast where I interview Broadway stars, drag queens, and comedians about their slumber party experiences growing up. And I just want to dive right in today because I am so excited. Trying not to fangirl because we have somebody right in front of your eyes and not just your eyes, but also your ears. So you need to come to all of your senses because she's always true to you in her fashion. And we're here on Saturday night in this city. Please welcome, you know her from Elf, Kiss Me Kate, Tick Tick Boom. I could go on and on. Amy Spanger.
Hello. Am I here? I'm here.
You're here.
Oh my God. I love
How you doing?
I love you already.
I love you so deeply, Amy. You don't even. It's so like as like a musical theater nerd, my whole life, like it's so fun to just in the last 2 minutes get to chat with you and get to know you a little bit because you've been in my brain and in my ears for so long. I'm gonna get the fangirling out of the way from the very top.
I am unemployed. Please, please, just do it.
Please just shower you with it. Okay, this
I accept.
I went to college in Miami and we would go clubbing a lot. And Amy, every single time we went out on a Saturday night, we would play Saturday Night in the City from Wedding Singer, blare it in the car over it was like our it was like our Britney Spears or Christina Aguilera song that we were like, we're getting pumped for the clubs.
That makes me so happy. That makes me so happy. I love that. Thank you.
That cool. Let's start with that show. I saw the closing night of that show.
You did.
I sure did. And I loved it. So I always say my big thing with this, my big like mission with this podcast, I want to bring more comedy to Broadway. Like so often I feel like Broadway kind of misses the mark, and that show was so funny.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the writer who wrote the film wrote the musical, and and he's like best friends with Adam Sandler, and so like we met Adam Sandler, and he, we workshopped it for a while, and he would like write a joke, and like I would say the joke, and he would be like, "You're my muse, you're my comedy muse," and I was like, "Oh my God," and yeah, it just was like John Rando just got this incredible group of misfit comedy genius people together. And it was all love, like all day with every single person. It was beyond the beyond. And I remember the day that I was actually working on two things at the same time. I had been working on, and I don't know if you know about this, but I had been working on Next to Normal as Diana, and
Feeling electric at the time, right?
Feeling Electric, right? And we did it at Nymph, and we did it out of town, and not out of town, but we did it at like a small black box theater outside of Seattle, and I was kind of waiting for it to happen because I was like, this is going to be really big. And they had written it in a way that was like more appropriate for me because she was supposed to be younger. And Anthony Rapp had done it as well at Nymph with me, and we're the same age. And I was thinking about just not doing The Wedding Singer, and I had done like a couple of readings of it, and I had a meeting with John Rando, and John Rando was like, okay, so at the end of Act One, you're gonna roll on stage and you're gonna twirl into a chair and pull down a cord, and the water's gonna come down on you. And I was like, okay, I have to do that. So I just, I moved forward with The Wedding Singer. It's also during a period where I was like starting divorce proceedings with my ex-husband. So it was like I needed to kind of like do something positive. It was like a show about love. And I was like, okay, I'm just gonna like dive in. And so we went out of town, it went great. We came back, and then they did another like 29-hour reading of Next to Normal. Um, and I was doing tech for The Wedding Singer. And so I couldn't get out of it.
No.
Alice did that one. And then, Tom Kitt, I remember I was in a nail salon and he called me and he was crying. Because he was like, you breathed life into this character that I had been dreaming about for years. And like the work you did was so important. And and I was crying, like getting my toes done, just like crying. And I was like, okay, I gotta just like let that go. And it was really interesting because my mom was bipolar. And so it was like very close to me. You know what I mean? Like as I started working on it, I was like, I'm really good at her for some reason. I can't figure it out. Like it was so close, I couldn't figure it out. I was like, oh, right, my mom. So, but I feel like I already did it, like people are like, would you ever want to do it again? And I kind of don't feel like I ever would because I like really I wrung myself out, in a way. Like I
Yeah.
feel like I don't ever have to do it. But The Wedding Singer, turned out to be just this genius, wonderful thing in my life that, I got to do.
That's amazing. I mean, it really, I cannot even begin to tell you how much joy you brought me in that show. And seeing people who are truly so funny, who can also sing and dance their asses off, was just like, I just remember watching it and being like, this is it. Like, this is what I want to do. Like,
Oh,
this is my thing. Like, I want to be funny like this. And we won't harp on it, but I want to quickly touch back to the bipolar thing because I'm so fascinated by it as well. My best friend is bipolar, and it was like a whole thing that we went through together when he was like being diagnosed, and we were living together, and it was a lot. And now I teach improv in rehab facilities and mental health facilities, and so I'm like very close to it all of the time.
wow.
And I totally feel what you mean, that it's like, I mean, there's that dichotomy, right? Of like, I want to be really close to this because I am really close to this. But then also at the same time, it's like good to take space from it because, acting in a role, like being an actress is so weird. Like you really you really have to balance. It's super weird. You're really like, and yeah, that the way that unfolded is so, thanks for sharing that. That's like so interesting and such like, I mean, that's Broadway history right there. It's
Yeah.
fascinating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, some people know about it, and it's like, there's like a lot of stuff on YouTube that you can listen to from the Nymph. Um,
And we
yeah.
should say Nymph. Sometimes the listeners don't know. Nymph is a
Oh, yeah.
New York musical theater festival,
Yes.
which
Yes.
it's basically like the Fringe, but straight up for musicals. And
Yeah.
a lot of like awesome shows came out of it. She's no longer with us, the Nymph, but I know. But it was like
Did she
this
die
super
during
cool.
COVID? Did
I
she die
think she
during?
I think she died pre-COVID.
Ah,
I know.
right.
I
But it was
I
like
think
recent. It was like last couple of years, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened, but there was something managerial that went down that because it's such a shame because it was such a cool breeding ground for new. I only got to participate one summer that they were doing it, but it was so fun. It's so fun to see other people's shows, and
Yeah.
oh my god, it was
Yeah.
such a
Really
blast.
exciting. Like super, super exciting. Um, yeah, I won Best Actress
Work,
for that.
work,
Just so you
queen.
know, I
Uh,
won that award.
and the people need to know. And okay, also John Rando. Forgive me if this is, correct me if I'm wrong, Amy, but John Rando also directed like On the Town and You're in Town,
Yeah. Yeah.
which you also did. You're in
I
Town.
did. Yeah. I replaced Jennifer Laura Thompson. I saw the show. I had this really powerful experience. I saw my friend Charlie Pollock, um, who was the standby for Raul Esparza in Tick Tick Boom. He got the tour, and so I saw him perform in it, and I hadn't seen it. I went like a year in or something, and so because of the name, I was like, I'm not gonna go to a show called Urinetown. You know what I mean? I was like, and I hadn't read enough about it, and I didn't know. And so I saw it, and I was like, oh, I mean, I was so moved by it. I mean, comedy wise, you know, like, oh my goodness. And I just was like, I have to do it. And I called my manager, and I was like, when she leaves, if she ever goes, like, I want to replace her. And it was really cool because the day after I called her, I got an appointment to go in because Jennifer Laura Thompson was pregnant. And so it just was sort of like kismet-y thing happening. And yeah, I just knew how to do it. And my husband actually saw it like 3 times before like we even knew each other. And so it's kind of like a thing for us.
Oh my God, I love that.
Common thread for us. But yeah, that's another show that was like, I mean, those people, and I remember it was closing, and I think the producers had to come up with $1 million, or like $500,000 or something to move it to another theater. And they couldn't come up with it. And it was like, I just thought, like, what are these people going to do next? Because they were so weird. They were so like unique, and like, how are they going to work again? You know what I mean? And I mean, a lot of them have, but it was just such a beautiful, beautiful show.
They were that kind of brilliant. Yeah, that kind of brilliant where you're like, this is so, it really felt like watching that thing where you're like, oh, you think this is funny, and you know that it's funny. And even though the title is weird, you stuck with it, and you were like, I know this is good because this is my kind of humor. And I mean, is there anything more special than that? Like, it just really, I could talk about that show for the next 7 weeks nonstop.
Yeah.
It's my favorite show of all time.
Oh my God,
so funny.
Loved it. I just loved it, and I was just so grateful I got to do it. I was so grateful because I was like, I have to, and I felt that way about other things, and it hasn't happened. You know?
Yeah.
Like, I was like, I have to do it, and it did happen.
Did you always know you were funny? Like since you were a kid?
Yeah. I would put on shows, and you know, puppet shows and whatever. I would just put on any kind of show for people. Yeah, I was always kind of like holding court at dinner, you know, kind of, you know, making everybody laugh. But my whole family was really funny, so we were all kind of doing it together. And I attract funny people. Like, all my friends are funny, and if you're funny, I want to be around you. Period.
Yeah.
Like, my husband's really funny, and you know, Jamie Lee Fox had a joke about women where, you know, like, he would just tell a joke and they would be like taking off their pants for him, you know. It's like kind of how I felt about like my husband. I was like, yep, it's happening.
I love to hear you say that because so often I feel like in the gay world, like, funny is not sexy. But my boyfriend always tells me that he's like very attracted to me because I'm funny. And I'm like, yeah, I'm using that from now on. My jokes are going to be a panty dropper for you.
Yeah. If you're funny, I just, you know, we're friends for life. Like, it's on. It's happening.
It's on. Okay, speaking of growing up and being funny, I want to know where you grew up and what were your slumber parties like?
Oh my God. So I grew up in a small town north of Boston, called Newbury, and it has 10,000 people, and like farms, like a farming town. We were like 5 minutes away from the ocean, and so you could smell like the cows and the ocean from my house growing up. And yeah, I mean, I was always just like putting on shows for people, and I did gymnastics when I was a kid, and I did like the school plays. I was, I guess my first big thing was I played Scrooge in like musical Scrooge or something, like Scrooge or something. Um,
Gender identity be damned. You said
right,
I'm
right.
doing everything. I love that.
Exactly. And I had just like a big, like weird, like white wig and just like tan. It was awkward. But I started doing community theater when I was like 10 or 11 and it just kind of like it was something I did forever. And then when I was figuring out like where I was going to go to college, I was, no one in my family did it and no one around me did it really. So I applied to a bunch of places and I wasn't like the best student. Um, so I was like a B student, so I didn't like apply to NYU but I applied to Syracuse and AMDA and Wagner and, but like not like the big schools. Um, and I got into UMass Amherst and, I grew up middle class and I was like, I just didn't want to, um, sort of impose all that money on my folks. So I went to a state school for a year. And when I was 19, I went to New York for the first time. And I saw, well, first of all, when I was 15, 16, I went on a school trip to New York and I saw Into the Woods and with Bernadette Peters. And I was like, oh, okay, like that's what I would like to do.
Yeah.
But I kind of like, I needed a little more time, to develop a little bit. When I went when I was 19, I saw Grand Hotel and I saw And the World Goes Round, that review with
Oh yeah.
Karen Nason and and I saw Karen Zamba and I was like, well, I have to do that. Like I could do that. I could do all that stuff.
Yeah.
She was like being funny and sexy and belting and and doing sort of like heart-wrenching stuff. And I was like, oh. And so I came home from that trip and I told my parents I was going to move to New York City to be a Broadway star. And they
Hell
were
yeah.
like, oh, sure. And my mom was like, you have to wait until you're 21. And so I dropped out of school because I also I think I booked a chorus line at the theater in New Hampshire. And it was like semi-pro, semi-professional. So there were like some professional people and I played Cassie at 19. And the guy who's directing was like, if you go, you're going to make it. Like if you go to New York.
I just got chills.
Yeah. And I was like, okay. And it was like the first person who said that.
Yeah.
And so, I waited until I was 21. I saved a bunch of money. I took $2,000 out of my hometown bank in cash. I didn't have a bank account. And I moved to New York. My parents drove me there and brought my bedroom furniture. And I moved in with a girl that I had met over the summer who's going to Columbia, who was friends with a friend from high school. And she found an apartment the weekend before I moved. I went there and stayed in the apartment with her. And then I moved there. And my parents drove me, dropped me off. It was big tears. And I didn't really have a plan other than I was going to be a star on Broadway. I knew two people.
It worked out, baby. Yeah.
But I I got the blue and white coffee cup and the backstage paper, and I would circle open calls and I just started going and I booked my first job within 3 months. I booked a chorus line because I knew the original choreo. So I booked that right away. Now I can't remember the name of the theater. It was somewhere upstate. And yeah, and just I started working. I gave myself 3 years to get on Broadway, and I did it in 2 years and 10 months.
Oh my God. What was that show?
Sunset Boulevard.
Wow. With Glenn Close?
Yeah, Betty Buckley was playing the role when I got in there.
Oh
I
my God.
replaced Lauren Kennedy.
Another queen, another icon.
Yeah,
Oh
totally.
my God, Amy, that is so wild. 3 years is a short time to be like, I only have 3 years. My first roommate in New York City just booked her first Broadway show. She's been fucking pounding the pavement. I think she is 36 now and booked her first Broadway show after
Wow,
what, 15 years in the
that's
city. Isn't
incredible.
that amazing?
That's
Yeah,
so wonderful.
it really can happen like at any time. It's like so much about stick to itiveness. But how amazing that you were like, I mean, you really had, it sounds like you had like laser focus. Like you were like, this
Did.
is what I'm doing. This is what's gonna happen. And oh my God, that story about your director saying if you go, you're gonna make it. It's like, how, how badly do we just like need somebody to just believe in us? Like
Yeah,
it's so crazy like that, hearing that one person say that to you can be like, oh yeah, like I
yeah.
got this. This is the
He was the only
validation that I
person
need.
that I had met up until that point who had been on Broadway too. So I was like, he must know because he's been on Broadway.
Yeah, yeah. I had a 16-year-old student that I teach improv to come up to me recently and say, you know, I want to do this professionally. Like I want to be an actor professionally. Do you think I have what it takes? Because I really don't want to waste my time. Like if you don't think I have what it takes, like I need you to tell me so that I don't spend the next decade like doing the wrong thing and then have to like go get a different job or whatever. And I
Yeah,
was like, I looked at her dead in the eyes and I was like, don't ever ask anyone that again. I was like, you need to know for yourself if you think you can do this. And then I was like, I'm going to be the person to tell you and I'm going to be the last person to tell you this. Don't ask anyone again. But
yeah,
she's like, she's really funny. So I was like, yes, you can absolutely make a career out of this. Like you are very talented and you can do this, but let other people tell that to you. You need to just know it,
yeah.
if
Just
because
own it.
yeah. And I was like, it's so hard, like so much harder than you think it is. So if you're questioning it at all, like it's going to be even harder than that. So you just have to know that you can do it and keep going, I guess.
Yeah, I think because I knew so little about what I was getting into, it was very helpful too. Like I was just
Hmm.
blindly and was just, I was just like, I didn't know. I had no idea. But I was lucky in that I started booking work and, you know, um, people were interested in me for other shows too before that show happened, um,
Just from going to open calls, like you just like started to make a name for yourself in New York by
I booked that job from an open call. I booked it.
work. Wait, Sunset Boulevard?
Yeah.
Amy. That is so cool. I mean, what a cool inspirational story. Like you're saying about the big schools, like I feel like in the musical theater world, there's like kind of a hard breakthrough thing of like, well, if you didn't go to Michigan, CCM, or Carnegie, like you're not going to get appointments and you're not going to be able to make it happen. So I hope people listening to this feel very inspired by that because that I the one show I did in New York, I did 50 Shades of Musical off Broadway, and we ran for a year and a half. It like I got to pay for my life in New York City as a theater actor. I also booked that from an open call, and like
Wonderful.
it happens, baby.
It
It
totally,
happens.
it really does.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I had to learn the hard way some things that I didn't know, probably, you know, um, I had to learn on the job, some things, and that I probably could have learned had I gone to CCM or
Sure,
University of
sure.
Michigan or NYU or whatever. Yeah, so I had to write some apology notes to people. I like fucked up a couple times. That's fine.
It happens. Yeah.
But I learned, my learning curve is like, okay, I got it,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But
How?
yeah,
No, sorry. Go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
I was just saying, you can do that. You can come here. I mean, I suggest people do go to school. I think I got very lucky. But yeah,
How did Tick Tick Boom happen?
Tick Tick Boom happened because I did the first national tour Rent. I played Maureen in the first national tour Rent, which was a dream. It was just, it was another job that was just dreamy. Loved every single person. Loved the piece. Loved, and I hadn't gone to college, so it's sort of like my college in a way. 'Cause we're all
Yeah, yeah.
same age, and um, yeah, and I got that after I did Sunset Boulevard. It was the next job. Um, but yeah, so I knew Jonathan's father, and I knew Victoria Leacock, Jonathan's best friend, and I knew Matt, another one of Jonathan Larson's best friends, and they were all involved. And yeah, we did a reading. Did a reading with Anthony Rapp. Anthony Rapp played
Again, Anthony
in the
Rapp.
reading. Am I making that up? Oh, Anthony Rapp. It was a long time ago. I look good though, right?
You look great. Come on. Those listening, we're doing a little hair zhuzh. Come on.
No, it's Anthony Rapp, and yeah, so we did a reading, and I had to play a bunch of characters in the reading, which kind of like I'm good at, and I didn't like. I always thought I was gonna do like some sort of variety show, like when I was a kid. I was like Carol Burnett and
I was just
Donnie
gonna say.
Curley and Cher and like all that. I was like variety show, and like Tracy Ullman later on, and so like I kind of like had these characters, whatever, and so I did that, and then they did have me come in and sing because we were only reading the script, so they had me come in and sing, and I sang "Call Me," Blondie's "Call Me,"
Love.
and I sang.
Love that song.
That was my rock song at the time, and I sang the theme from the Valley of the Dolls.
I don't know that. I've never seen Valley of the Dolls. I know. I know. It's bad.
It's a great song. It's a really great song. And I was working with Liz Kaplan at the time, and she suggested that I sing that song. And yeah, Stephen Aremus, who was the MD, just fell in love because I sang that song because he was a fan of the film.
Amazing.
And yeah, so it just happened, and I was doing Kiss Me Kate at the time, and so I literally booked it. I had like one day off, and then I went right into rehearsals for Kiss Me for Tick Tick Boom, and yeah, it was such a wonderful experience in that it was a 3-person musical, like chamber musical, and so it was there was no ensemble, and there were very few people, so we all had like large responsibility, and Scott Schwartz really kind of left us alone to like figure it out, which I find for me it's very helpful if people aren't trying to control what I do.
Yeah.
So I love that. And I mean, he was like guiding and shaping and, all that, but he really got out of the way and just let us create and figure that out. And yeah, it was just an incredible experience all around, just singing that score and
I mean, those songs, come on.
Yeah, playing. Yeah, and I didn't have Come to Your Senses was not slated to happen.
Wait,
So,
tell me about that.
Yeah, so we got into rehearsals, and they were like, you know, you have this duet and you have, you know, like a bunch of other stuff, but like we're trying to figure out, you know, what, you know, solo you could have. And so they gave me the demo of Come to Your Senses, which Marin Nazy sang the demo. And because they were really close, Marin and Jonathan Larson were.
I didn't know that. Whoa, that's cool.
They grew up in the same town.
No way.
So did Joe Mantello.
Oh my God. All the Broadway icons.
Yeah, like it was like a very powerful Something in the Water from this town. I can't remember, somewhere in Michigan, somewhere.
Oh my God, that's so cool.
So yeah, so I listened to Marin do, and I knew her very well, and she was my friend, and yeah, and so, and she sang it beautifully, but it was very different from like how I would ever interpret that song. And so, you know, we did it. We changed the key because it was, I think it was like a half step lower. So like the last note was a B, and changed the key. And then it wasn't until we did like a reading of the first act in front of some people. And I remember Stephen Schwartz was there, and like, because Stephen Schwartz is Scott Schwartz's dad. And so he was there, and we're all kind of like, oh, what's going on? We don't even know what's happening. And I hadn't really sung the song that many times. And so at that reading, I did the end. I like just belted the end.
Yeah.
Because I had been doing it kind of mixy like Marin. And I think I had tried belting like a little bit. And then, you know, Stephen Remus and I, you know, had a talk about it, and he was like, I think you should mix it. And I was like, I don't know, I'm not feeling that. And, you know, anyway, so it was like this thing that was sort of like we were trying to figure it out. And so at that reading, I just went, you know, and
please belt. Please belt.
It was a moment. It was a moment where people were like, whoa, and, you know, like lots of applause. And anyway. So yeah, from then on I had to like, you know, do that, which was super hard, but really fun.
And that song has become like an iconic musical theater song. Like I feel like you can't walk into any of the major rehearsal studios in New York City and not hear someone singing that.
I know.
Do you hear it when you walk through it, or are you like, oh, this is weird?
I have. Or like a friend will come up and be like, sorry, I'm about to sing your cool. Sing it.
Is it going to be weird for you to see the movie of a role you originated?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I mean, I'm excited to see it. I love that they're making a film out of it. That should happen. Yeah, I'm sure it'll be like totally odd.
Yeah. Have you seen the trailer yet?
I haven't yet.
It's out now. It looks good. Yeah. It looks like they're doing like some really cool stuff with it. It's so hard to make a musical into a movie, but I think that I'm hoping that they're going to really slay this because it's looking pretty neat so far.
Yeah, no, I'm excited. I'm really
Speaking of movie musicals, honey, Reefer Madness. Hey, me. Again, another, I mean, you just have like all the funniest shows under your belt. Like, what, I mean, that show, so good. Could you talk a little bit about Reefer Madness? I don't even have a question. Can you talk about it? Yeah.
I was living in LA and I was auditioning a lot. It was pilot season. And I had a particularly bad day auditioning for pilots. And I had auditioned for Reefer Madness like a couple days before. And it went great, you know, but things had been kind of going well, like kind of all around. And so I had put it out of my mind, you know. I was like, because I had been auditioning a lot.
Yeah.
So I kind of like forgot. I was like, that was good, but like I got to do other stuff.
Yeah.
And I was shopping on La Brea. Like I was trying to like buy something to make myself feel better.
Yeah.
That audition.
That audition,
And
yeah, that audition shopping therapy. I know it
and
well.
it was a Friday, and they my manager and agent called me, and when they both call, when they're like, you know, I have Steve on the phone, you know, whatever. I was like, oh, I got something. And they were like, you booked Reefer Madness. You're leaving Sunday and you start work on Monday.
Oh my God.
Friday. And so that night I got really, really drunk because I hadn't booked anything in LA yet, or I had booked like one little like TV thing. So I was like, oh my God. And, you know, Andy Fickman called me, the director, and said, you're going to fall. And I was like, oh, I'm really good at that. I'm really good at falling. I was like, no, really. When I was doing Sunset Boulevard, I wore this really like massive, like pink and black polka dotted outfit, like to start the show with like a hat. And it had like a big skirt. And I had to do this like massive cross, like I had to say, hi, Mr. Gillis, you know, and like cross with like my something, like my script in hand. And so like we had to do like a mic test every night, or like at 5 for everyone in the show. And at the sound check, I would do that like and fall for everyone, just like fall, and the skirts would like fall over my head, and it was like a whole thing.
Yeah.
And I can't really demonstrate, but you know, like Betty Buckley would like show up, and she'd just be like, you know, and it was a thing. If you ask anybody from that time, like they'll tell you
the Amy fall.
anyway,
Yeah,
like the Amy Pratt fall, to the point where the wardrobe department was like, your dress costs like $10,000, so maybe don't do that anymore. So I had to like sneak, and I kept doing it though. But anyway, so like I just knew, and being a dancer, and I just knew how to fall. Like I just and like you know, you wanna like walk into stuff. And so you know, he was like, you're gonna fall, and I was like, oh yeah. And so we rehearsed for like a month.
Damn.
Yeah, we rehearsed it like a play.
That's so cool. Yeah, that's awesome.
It was a 3-month total experience. So like we rehearsed for a month, and then we shot for like 2 months. And we would go to the set and rehearse on the set like day before, and like get everything sort of like a play. And it was so cool.
That's
awesome. So well
awesome.
thought out. But you know, we would do like take after take, and Andy would be like, okay, so how about you exit here like Scooby-Doo, like you're sneaking off, you know. So it was like
I would be a terrible. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, I was just gonna say, like, every single person was brilliantly funny. I mean, brilliantly funny. Steven Weber is the funniest man alive. I don't know if you know that.
I don't.
Like,
I'm not
the funniest man alive, to the point where if you watch the film, I'm laughing in every scene. Like, I'm laughing. I'm like, I'm sorry, I ruined it again.
I would be a terrible gay person if I did not ask you, what is Neve Campbell like?
She's so sweet and kind and loving and lovely. She's a dear, dear human.
Yeah. Oh my God, that makes me so... I can hear the gay people listening to this screaming in their homes.
She's so cool. Like, and she's just down to earth and real, and she's awesome.
Were you like a Scream fan at all before? Had you seen Scream?
No, I hadn't.
Oh, Amy.
I know, and I have since, and I'm like, oh my God, I love her even more.
She's unbelievable in those movies.
She's so good.
She's so good. It really makes almost no sense. She's perfect. And the fact that it was supposed to be Drew Barrymore and not her is so wild. Like, she is what is so iconic about, and she's really like, she's like a gay icon. Like any horror movie fan is just like, she just has something that's like, and former dancer as well,
I know. Yeah.
who then became an actress. It's like
Like
so,
ballerina, like for real.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And Anna Gasteyer, I watched the clip of Anna doing that a lot. I watched that Reefer Madness clip a lot because that is just
Oh my God. Yeah. She's a genius. Yeah. And
um
she's so cool. She's incredible. She's
I'm
like so down to earth and great. Yeah.
oh, I love to hear that. Okay, so you grew up in this farm town outside of
Mhm.
Boston.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit about your slumber parties? Let's start with like whichever one you want, but I'm very interested in like your teen years.
18 years. Oh God. Yeah. I was like a bit of a party girl. I got it
Yeah.
in school. Yeah, I was like a party girl. So there was marijuana and there was a lot of drinking.
Was your high school small? The
Yes,
small
very.
town? How small?
I think there were 200 people in my class.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not like
Yeah.
that. Not
Not
that
tiny,
small.
tiny, but pretty.
No,
But and it
I
was
think
like
there were
one high school for the
maybe
whole town.
no, it was one high school for I think 3 different towns.
Oh dang. Okay. So like
Yeah,
everybody came to
Triton.
this
It was
one.
called Triton, like Tri-town, Triton.
Oh, fun.
Um, yeah, so we would okay, so it was like the 80s, and we would if we loved the song, we would listen to it over and over again, and there was no internet. um, and we were like middle class and we weren't buying like all of it. We were like recording stuff off of the radio and then sort of
Oh
like,
yeah.
it was low budget. But we would, if we loved the song, we would listen to it over and over again and like stop and start on our cassette player and just like write the lyrics down.
Oh yeah, because you couldn't look up the lyrics on Google.
Oh, no. Um, yeah, and you were asking about like films. Um,
Oh yeah, what movies? What were your slumber party movies?
well, like there weren't movies, but we loved Prince. We loved like Prince, like loved him to the point where my first sex dream was I was on a bus by myself and I was on a bus by myself and then but all of a sudden Prince, in like the full like Purple Rain regalia, like gets on the bus, comes back, sits right in front of me, takes my hand, and starts like sucking on my fingers.
I
12.
love that.
I was 12. So, yeah, but I just remember watching like Prince concerts, like just watching concert footage of Prince
I
and just freaking out about him. And like, he was a man who wore like a lot of makeup
yeah.
and, you know, his sexuality was not clear, but I mean, he talked about women all the time. So I was like, I loved him. He kind of was like a sexual awakening for me.
I love that. That's what's cool about the 80s too, is like I feel like Michael Jackson, Prince, Bowie, they
Yeah,
all kind of had this very drag aesthetic of like they
right.
were a little bit queer, but
Yeah,
definitely were banging women as well. And it's like
right.
it was like this strange little fluid pocket of time where like our music icons were so fluid, which is like very sexy.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like Bowie came out, right? Like he was bi, wasn't he?
I have no idea.
I think he did. I think he did. I think it was like common knowledge that he was bi. But Prince was like, always said like the ladies. I'm all about women. So I
Yeah.
don't know.
But I could see that being very sexy as a child in the 80s. I mean, even now I look at pictures of him and I'm just like, what I mean, what a sexual beast that man.
I know. Just incredible. And his talent.
So, I mean, truly. What
Unbelievable.
what was your first kiss?
Um, we had when I was 12, I think I had a birthday party, and in the basement of my parents' house.
That's always where it is.
Yeah. And so we were all down there and like turned the lights out, and we were all like making out. And I can't even remember the boy's name. John Pike. John Pike.
Oh my
And
God.
it was not good. It was like
It
a
never is.
thrusty tongue.
Oh
And
no, I hate that. I
it
hate
didn't
that.
feel organic. Do you know what I mean? Because I like heard
Yeah.
about that. And I was like, I want to like experience that, but it's just like he
I
was
gotta
kind of
tell
like
you,
assaulting me with his tongue.
and he was 12, so he didn't know. But I gotta tell you,
So,
I'm 30. I'm 33, and the boys are still out there doing that. There
yay,
are grown men still doing the thrusty tongue.
stop doing that. Don't
If
do
you're
it.
listening to this, stop doing that. Learn how to kiss. I'm sure there's YouTube tutorials or something. Like, figure this out, guys. The
Stop.
thrusty tongue is not the
On.
way to go.
It's not okay. It's not
It's
okay.
not good. But you had your first kiss on your birthday. That's pretty fun.
Yeah.
At your birthday party?
I felt good about that. I felt really good about that. But that relationship did not last.
No, you can't last long with a thrusty
No.
tongue. There's no,
Mm-mm.
there's, there's,
No.
there's none of that. None of that happening. Mm-mm. And I think it's interesting talking about just the commercial aspect of Broadway. I mean,
Yeah.
now people were protesting in the streets, like we're making changes. It's a very fascinating conversation, I think, happening around that right now. Of like, okay, and I think just the idea of like kind of blowing this out of is Broadway really what we thought it was, and does it have to be the ultimate dream? And I mean, hearing your story about Reefer Madness is so inspiring. It's like, why is there not more of that? Like, we can take these shows, like Reefer Madness was never on Broadway, right? It was an off-Broadway
Off Broadway,
musical.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and then we can turn it
I
into a
think they're
movie.
trying to get it on Broadway, from what I've heard. Yeah. They're
That would be
trying.
lit.
Yeah.
That would be lit. But like, you know what I mean? It's like I don't know, we just get so caught up in this idea that it's those, I don't know how many there are, 14 theaters or whatever that are employing these actors and musicians and writers and all these things. But I don't know. I think this time of it being taken away from us for over a year and a half is like, yeah, we should be reinventing this wheel. Like, there's a lot of different ways that we can give opportunities to people with like real talent who are able to sing and dance and act and who
Yeah.
dedicate their lives to this. It doesn't
Yeah.
have to just be those 14 theaters. Like, there can be more movie musicals, there can be more off-Broadway theaters, there can be high-paying regional theater, and like,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Definitely. Definitely. Yeah, I mean, for people who have spent their whole life doing it and have been like, honing their skills forever, and who are like born to do musical theater, um, to have somebody come in who is like a big celebrity who kind of shouldn't be there is just odd. Um, it's just it's disrespectful.
Yeah, it's very tough. And that was what I thought was so cool about the In the Heights movie. I was finally watching this movie where I was like, oh fuck, everybody can sing.
I
This is
know.
what it's like when you actually cast people who are talented
I
in
know.
a movie
I'm so
musical.
inspired by that. So inspired. That was so good. Oh, so wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I know. I'm hoping that people have the opportunity to really think about how to better themselves in terms of like producing, in terms of casting, in terms of, yeah, just like, I don't know. I've been thinking about how to be better, you know, and also like I want there to be more roles for women who are, over 45. Like, come on, come the fuck on. Because
Yeah.
we're sexy, we're funny, we're talented, I just turned 50. Okay.
Hell yeah. I want there to be, if I could have one way, if a genie came to me right now and was like, what do you want? It would honestly be that. As someone who, you know, is only interested in interviewing you and Julia Murney and Eden Espinoza and like all of these women that like I these are the people I want to see, and I'm not alone in that.
Yeah.
Like I'll,
What
you
are we
know,
all doing? There's like 3 jobs. There's 3 Broadway jobs right now for women who are like of that age. You know, you have to kind of like do other things for a while, you know, do TV or whatever, or like
mhm.
teach or whatever, and then come back when you're like a character. You know, it just
Yeah.
it's not okay.
Amy, thank you so much. You are, I honestly just want to like go hang out with you now. Like I, I just
No,
want to like
I feel like we
go
had
grab
like
a
a
drink.
first date, and now like
Yeah,
you know.
seriously. Yeah, very much
Uh,
that.
Thank you so much for having me. It was so fun.
Thank you so much for doing it. Is there, do you want people to follow you? If so, where can they follow you on social media?
Yeah, social media. Yeah, follow me. I'm at Amy_Spanger on Insta, and Amy Spanger on Twitter.
Nice.
Yeah.
Excellent. Listeners, thank you so much for listening. You can follow me at tmurray06 on all platforms except for Twitter now because my Twitter was deactivated last week because I tweeted gay bartenders talking shit on their coworkers and then a clip from How to Solve a Problem Like Maria from Sound of Music. And apparently that violated a copyright law. So my Twitter has been deactivated. But if you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe to the YouTube channel and follow me on Instagram and TikTok. And Amy, you're the best. Thank you again.
Oh, thank you, Tim. So nice to meet you and talk to
So
you.
nice to meet you too. All right, bye, you guys.